Can $140 buy you a decent in-ear monitoring system? Well, yeah, it actually can. What's going on, friends? I'm Sean Pierce Johnson, and today I'm going to tell you all about my experience using the Kimafun in-ear monitor system. Or is it Kimafun? 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 Now, Kimafun has reached out to me several times over the last few years, and they generally are presenting me with different accessories. Things like guitar stands, straps, music stands. I think I've even seen a few gig bags. But it's not necessarily something that within my everyday usage I would actually need, at least until the last year or so when I've started to see various different in-ear wireless systems coming onto their Amazon store. Now, long story short, this last time they reached out to me, they proposed me checking out one of their in-ear wireless systems. I was all game to check it out, and this is what I got. I found myself immediately impressed with the package. I was not expecting the system to come in such a rigid little gig bag. I'm giving this a good amount of pressure and it's not buckling under anything. So I felt very confident that I would be able to throw whatever was in here into the front pocket of my gig bag and not have to worry about the system going bust. Then I opened the thing up and realized why that is. Inside we have our receiver and our transmitter and a nice little blank space that if you have another transmitter or another receiver, you can go ahead and pull out the centerpiece and put another one in. But it's lined with this fairly soft yet rigid rubberized material. You see it a lot in microphone cases, you see it even in some gig bags. And the idea that even for just a simple low profile in-ear monitor system to have that much security in the gig bag is pretty outstanding. But what struck me even further is the pocket on the other side, which includes all sorts of things that you're gonna need to make sure that you can charge this thing and use this thing in just about any situation possible. Let's go ahead and unzip that pocket and I'll show you what comes inside. Both the receiver and the transmitter operate on a rechargeable lithium-ion battery, so you're gonna need some way of charging it. And thankfully, they include a USB charging cable with two ends to plug into both the receiver on this side and the transmitter. So all you would need to do is plug that into, say, a USB wall wart like this one that I generally use for my Big Joe Stomp Box Li2. Plug that into the wall, and this thing is charged fully within about 2 hours, or at least from the different times that I've used it. Now, you may have noticed that the transmitter has an 1/8" TRS connector, and that works for some situations, but a lot of the more mid to high tier mixing desks utilize 1/4" TRS connectors in order to route the audio in a balanced format. Thankfully, we have a nice 1/4" adapter that screws on tight to the transmitter, allowing you to plug it into whatever you need to get your audio from. In addition, included with the system are two mono TS 1/8" to 1/4" converters, which I don't use on the regular, but I could see some people needing to take advantage of this in their everyday use. There's also a couple converter and extension cables, one being a male 1/8" TRS to a male 1/8" TRS, and then another one that is an 1/8" male TRS connector to an 1/8" female TRS connector. So this could effectively be a headphone extender if you want it to be. And not only that, but something that I think is incredibly cool is that Kimafun includes their own in-ear monitor headphones for you with several different ear pieces, I guess I could call it. Now, I have to be honest with you, I have not checked out the audio quality of these, mostly just because I already have my own custom molded in-ear monitors, and that's how I'm going to be using this system anytime I need to use it. Hey everyone, Future Sean here. It was a little short-sighted on my part to film the bulk of this video before actually taking a listen to and testing out the included in-ear wireless headphones that Kimafun includes in this system. So after filming the bulk of this video, I decided to plug it into my phone and listen to a few different reference tracks that I like to use when I'm working on mixes, some podcast episodes of my favorite shows, and even listen back to a few old YouTube videos that I've made that I'm familiar with the sounds of. And I don't really have too much negative to say about these headphones. The fact that they're included in the system for the system's price is pretty great, and not all of us can afford custom molded in-ear wireless headphones. The only thing that I will say critically about them is something that I say about a lot of modern headphones, and that's that they always have this large amount of bass and low-end frequencies, which I certainly understand. People like low frequencies, they like bass, I totally get it. But at the same time, that excess buildup of low-frequency information going right into your eardrum, that's another thing that can potentially cause hearing damage over the course of years and years of use. If I were to use these, I would be doing everything in my power to try to filter out as much of that low-end information as possible, and also so that I can get a bit more of a truer idea of what the mix is going to sound like. Bass isn't always the predominant instrument, so just something to keep in mind, but the fact that these are included for the system's price, I gotta give Kimafun a lot of credit for that. Okay, so that's what comes with the package, but how exactly can we make this system work for us? It's pretty simple. All you need to do is turn on the transmitter, turn on the receiver, and use the center button that's labeled channel to select between 6 different channels of wireless audio transmission. The key is to make sure that both the transmitter and the receiver have the same channel lit up. If you don't have that going for you, you're not going to be hearing anything. Once you've made sure that your transmitter and receiver have a matching audio channel, go ahead and plug that transmitter into whatever you want to receive audio from. And then, of course, clip the receiver to your belt buckle, your belt loop, your pants pocket. I personally just stuff mine right into my back jean pocket and plug your headphones in. Little pro tip though, I highly recommend you turn on both the transmitter and the receiver, as well as turn the master volume on whatever you want to get audio from all the way down before you put on your headphones. This is going to make sure that you don't get any loud noises being jammed directly to your eardrums and possibly damage your hearing. I am not going to have your tinnitus on my conscience. There is something about this system that I've seen not a whole lot of other in-ear monitor systems like it be able to do. This system runs in stereo. I know it doesn't really seem like something that I should make such a big deal about. Plenty of other monitoring systems and our general usage headphones for just listening to music or podcasts or whatever, they operate in stereo, so why is this such a big deal? I don't know why, but other comparable in-ear monitor systems that cost about the same amount of money only run in mono. The fact that I can have a stereo guitar rig, pan one side hard left, pan one side hard right, and adjust my monitor mix with singers and piano and bass and drums wherever I want in the stereo field is pretty great. All right, we've talked about what comes with the package and how you can get started using it quickly. But the real question that needs to be answered is, how does this thing perform on the gig? Now, this is what I was most skeptical about because, let's face it, it's an inexpensive in-ear monitor system made overseas in China. Not necessarily a great reputation for the highest quality stuff, so I entered into my test phase with a grain of salt, if you will. My initial test here in my studio did bring up a few concerning things. Number one, there is definitely a digitally sound to what you hear. There also is a digital noise thing that goes on when no audio is present. It wasn't something so concerning that I didn't want to try it out in the gig and in the field, but it did make me wonder, is it going to be so distracting on the gig that I'd never want to use the system again? The second concern that I had was latency with the system. Now, I've bugged, along with my wife, many different pro audio companies at NAMM shows over the course of the last decade to make an in-ear monitor system that's digital. They're always citing latency as the big reason why it never gets brought to market. So immediately I'm wondering, okay, how bad is the latency gonna be? In my studio testing, I wasn't really sure if what I was experiencing was latency or not. I didn't feel a huge disconnect between the point where I hit the strings and then was hearing it in my ears, but I did feel like maybe something was off. That was until I actually took this thing on a gig. I first used the Kimafun wireless system at a rehearsal for a Sunday church service. Better to decide if you're going to use a piece of equipment or not in rehearsal rather than on the gig. And I was pleasantly surprised to see and hear that both concerns that got brought up in my studio testing, I didn't notice any problem with at all. Once the full band mix got going, I felt like a lot of that digital white noise, I guess I'll say, I didn't notice as much. Perhaps it's just the fact that it's no longer a solo instrument playing and you're hearing a full context mix. There's far more audio information taking up the frequency spectrum. I don't know. But then the latency issue, that was a big one. I wanted to make sure that I was going to be able to stay in time with that click and the drummer, and I was very happy to hear that I was not out of time with the rest of the band. Once I figured out that I was not going to have any concerns with using the Kimafun system, I went ahead and brought it the next morning, used it throughout the 2 Sunday services I played with great results, and have used it a couple other times since then as well. One of the biggest reasons that I've really enjoyed using this system is how low profile it is. I can just plug the transmitter into the back of the P16, throw this in the back pocket of my jeans, and nobody would be any wiser that I was listening to something in headphones. I didn't have any audio dropout issues. So would I recommend this Kimafun in-ear wireless system to any musician out there wanting an inexpensive and reliable option? I absolutely would. There are a few shortcomings, but in the moment, those shortcomings almost disappear and you're not going to be having a problem. And even if the package just included the transmitter, the receiver, the 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch adapter, and the charger cable along with the little carrying case, I would actually call it a pretty complete system. But with the addition of a couple different mono jacks, a couple different extender and adapter cables, and of course, its own in-ear headphones, for $140, you're just not going to find a system that is as complete as this one. Now, my criticisms really only amount to 2 things, one of which I've already mentioned, that sort of digitized white noise that you hear. But like I said, on the gig, that noise was barely perceptible. The only other gripe I have is the fact that it doesn't include some sort of USB wall wart adapter. It would just be a nice little thing to add so you didn't have to go searching for one or harvesting one from some other device that you're using. For the foreseeable future, I see myself using the Kimafun in-ear wireless system for as long as I'm playing at church, or at least until something bigger and better comes around. And I'm sure that there will be more situations that present itself where I will use the system. But as of yet, they have not shown up, so I won't tell you about them. But maybe in the future I will. And if you have any questions about my usage and experience with this system, please ask them in the comment section down below, and I'll do my best to get back to you all. But if you watch this video and think you want to give it a shot and try one of these out for yourself, I do have an Amazon affiliate link down in the description box down below where a paltry sum is given back to me by Amazon to support the channel and the video making that I do here. Thank you all so much for spending part of your day with me. I really appreciate it. If you would, please click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so that we can help this channel continue to grow. But of course, the algorithm is the algorithm, and there's a better way for us to stay in touch. Go to SeanPierceJohnson.com/email, that's my website, enter your name and email address, and you are signed up for my email newsletter. Links to videos like this are sent direct to you whenever they get uploaded, and I'll also clue you in onto some of the cool things that I'll be doing to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Stompbox Saturday. Until we see each other next, my friends, I'm Sean Pierce Johnson, wishing you all watching great tone, great health, and of course, happy stomping. Cheers, friends. God bless.